hard to picture myself without boxing. It's just kind of a sport that I love and I really feel comfortable with. And just not really, because I don't really like that many other sports, so it's kind of, this is my sport. I don't know what I would do without it.
Boxing out of the blue corner, Israel Naeem Alvarez, Howard Street.
I've had 69 fights and I'm still shaking when I come in the ring because you never know what's going to happen in boxing. Oh, I'm always thinking how I can improve and how I can make it easier to win. If he throws a punch, how I can counter it with 5 more punches. It's a mind game, it's chess. It's chess.
Box!
I started boxing when I was 12 years old. I knew that my dad was a 2-time, 3-time Golden Glove champion. He was a national champion. And through boxing, I thought that's the way I would be able to meet him. However, that wasn't the case. I met him when I was 18. He was more than a friend to me than dad. He's just, he wasn't the father figure, But through that time, from 12 to 17, I was in and out of gyms, back and forth, and boxing. But 17, I decided to stop, and I started hanging with the wrong crowd, gangbanging, using drugs, partying every night, not caring about, who I was hurting in my life, and I was hurting myself, and my family. Then about 22, I just decided, it's time to grow up, and see, everybody was doubting me, saying that I couldn't do anything with my life, and so I just wanted to prove them wrong, and so I went back to, what I was, best at, was boxing, got out of treatment, went to treatment when I was 22, got out, went straight to the gym, 25 now. Been clean and sober ever since. Now I have 27 fights, and I'm still fighting. When I get in the ring now, I'm composed, I'm ready to fight, and I know I'm gonna win. I know that, it's my time. Nobody trains as hard as me. Nobody, been through what I've been through. Now every negative thing that happens in my life, throughout my boxing career, I put it into my training. If I have a bad day, I would go for a run. If I'm mad, I jump rope or a shadow box, and everybody tells me that, good thing you're boxing so you can control your temper. No, the funny thing is, I have a temper regardless, man. I go down to boxing, and boxing is it's not a stress reliever. It's what I love to do. It's a sport to me. So from that, I stay composed, I go down there, and I do what I do best, I box.
I think Shad was 13 years old when his dad, Mark, who was a boxer in the Air Force, got Shad some boxing lessons as a Christmas present, like 10 boxing lessons at a local gym as a Christmas present. And I was like, that's the stupidest Christmas present ever. But anyways, and then I thought, okay, he'll go to his 10 lessons and that'll be the end of that. It'll be all said and done. So Shad goes to his first couple boxing lessons and winds up being really good. And the coaches were like, well, we want him to go in a match. And he was like, yeah, I want to do it. Yeah, I want to do it. And I was like, this is awful. My kid's going to get beat up. And I still remember his very first boxing match ever. Not only did Shad just unanimously just own that fight, the look on his face, he was so happy. It was something that he absolutely was overjoyed doing. And so it did a couple things to Shad. He really focused on his boxing career, and it was hard for me because once he started really fighting and getting, as he got a little bit older and really being well and going up against really good boxers, here I am sitting there wondering, how the fight is going to be. Shad was never knocked out. He lost his share of fights, but he was never knocked out, and he was never beaten unanimously or by a long margin. It was always by points because he was a great fighter. Shad's always had kind of a quiet dignity anyways, but I've seen him bring young men and women into the sport that had struggled from one thing or another, like Tony. And the sport, the art of the sport, winds up giving the athlete a really quiet confidence because they figure out what they really are capable of, and they don't need to do anything beyond that because they already know themselves so well.
Let's see, I was 14, I think, almost 15, when my dad suggested I box. He thought he would just give me some boxing lessons and see if I liked it. But I had no idea what I was getting myself into. When it started, he found one of the greatest amateur coaches ever come out of the United States, and that was Dan Vassar. And I remember my first meeting with Dan. It was out of season, and my dad had called him and talked him into training with me that day. He saw potential in me, and we just kind of developed from there. Amateur boxing, especially in Spokane, is a selfless thing, and people now, like Ray Kerwick especially, are unsung heroes. I'm very young, but I've seen enough in life to know that things are as big as you want them to be. And for me, boxing was like a fight was like getting baptized. I mean, it's hard to describe the feeling of getting in the ring, and you have all these people watching you. Once you're through the ropes, you're alone. There's somebody on the other side who knows what he's got into as well. And, boxing's a rough sport. You're out to hurt each other. I mean, I knock people out. I knock people unconscious. I've had my bell rung. I've never been knocked down, but I've been hurt in the ring. And when you're laying that much on the line, there's a lot of fear that goes along with it. So coming up to the fight is harder than the fight itself, or it always was for me. Because you're facing your fear, you're facing intimidation. In your mind, you can see yourself fail if you let your mind get out of control, or you see yourself succeed if you're able to take control of your destiny. And once you get in the fight and you're able to feel dominant in the face of that fear, when you're able to control somebody, when you're able to just take control of your life, even if it's for that one simple moment, it's a feeling that's hard to forget and easy to chase.